What did you think of Nori saying that he would never interview Cuban because of his relationship with Joe?
He told you how he really felt. He told you that his relationship, he's not going to want to hurt it with Joe. And, he didn't, he, he just showed where his loyalty is, which he just told you. So it had to come out. The truth is going to come out. You can hold the truth forever, but that shit gonna come out. It's gotta come out through your pores. You can't hold it inside. You can't hold something that if you're not free with your heart and you have bitterness and you have strifes in your heart, it's gonna expose itself because you can't harbor that. You have to, yeah, you have to let it out. Your stress will build up and it'll pop your heart. So you have to release the valve,
Yeah, what they say is what you resist will persist, right?
right?
Yeah. And so I felt like with Nori, from a friend perspective, he definitely is doing the right thing, right? From a street code perspective, like if you got beef with my man, then I can't be cool with you. But I think the problem is that people view him as a journalist because he's proclaimed himself to be a journalist. And if you're going to be on a platform asking Joe about Cuban, allowing Joe to tell his side about the Cuban situation, then as a journalist, you have to get the other side of things. And I think that that's where the problem was for a lot of
Right.
people.
But you also gotta understand that if you I know a lot of dudes in the streets that are a very big influence, and there's been some beefs in the streets that certain dudes in position could be like, let's sit down and talk. That's what makes you a real Don. You sit down and you talk about your situations, right? And Nori, by being a media journalist, um, it should come a day where you got to close things out. It's open. It's been open for 23 years. It's open. When do you put it to a closure? It's at a closure because everybody plays their own corner. But remember, Cuban's ambition was to do music. His ambition is not to work nowhere else. His skill, his gift is music. So why would he be denied that? Barbara Walters interviewed Fidel Castro. He was so anti-American, but she interviewed him. Osama bin Laden got interviewed by an American journalist. So you gotta look at the definition of what you consider yourself a journalist or not.
Right. And I feel like,
Because you say loyalty, of course, I could be loyal to my friend, but if I know this kid is and he don't mean no harm, or he just trying to like, and he expresses that, explain that to me, or whatever, or just say, yo, bro, like, let's just me, you, and him talk. You know what I'm saying? So me and him could talk. See, the thing is that them Cuban and Joe need to sit down. Everybody else need to just sit down and just grab a seat and mind their business. That between them two men. One is wants to approach it one way, one doesn't want to approach it, because it's irrelevant to him. But to one is relevant. Well, to the other one is irrelevant. So how do you bring some type of relevance to the situation? Right? So them two men gotta sit down, but everybody else is minding their business. Is everybody else in their business? Oh, I won't do it. Like even with Matt Hoffa, he said he won't do it either. Well, because you're the next one up with the biggest podcast coming out. You got a great podcast.
yeah.
But again, I get what Matt is saying. It's really nobody's business but Joe and Cubans. You know what I mean? That's whose business this is. Just people, made sure both sides were good. You know, if it wasn't about the money for me, it's about the honor. You know what I mean? If it was about the money, I probably would have made a different decision, different choice. I've been labeled a sellout, been labeled all of this with all of that. But I stand for truth. I stand for myself, but I stand for truth. Ain't nobody gonna hold me down, though. Ain't nobody gonna protect me. Who gonna protect me?
And I feel like with the Nori situation, It's kind of like if you don't want to interview Cuban, that's cool, but just don't bring him up on the platform then.
Correct, correct, correct. And then you know what's crazy too? That DJ EFN, which is Cuban, which has DJ'd for Cuban, and which is a good friend of Cuban's, but he can't be because he can't lose his spot. But he always tries to advocate for Cuban, and they shut him down, so he has to eat it, right? But EFN has always tried to mediate the situation, but he's not going to lose his job, so he got to stay shut out of it. You see his face when they mention Cuban name. EFN's face turns because it hurts because it's in the blood. It's the blood of truth. Like Cuban ain't do nothing wrong, dog. What he did wrong? What he did wrong? He ain't do nothing wrong. Just try to get on. He try to do music.
You've seen Nori and EFN has brought up Cuban like in every single Fat Joe interview they've had pretty much on Drink Champ.
Because EFN be wanting to try to squash shit, dog. EFN used to DJ for Cuban Link. Come on, if Cuban Link was Cuban Link, who you think would be his DJ right now? Who you think would have been his DJ all these years of that? He would have been touring and doing super shows.
Right.
It would have been EFN. It would have been EFN. That was his man. Cuban got love for that kid. They Cuban. They Cuban. Cuban love his own kind. They ain't too many Cubans in New York like that. They're all in Miami.
Yeah. And
the Cuban is alone up here in New York. But there's Cubans up here.
And when Joe heard EFN say like that EFN had DJ'd for Cuban when no one wanted to, he was saying like, yo, we chased every single DJ that ever tried to DJ for Cuban and all that. That's when he had brought up that situation.
All right. So a logical mind to say, without the DJ, no music is going to be played. So if I beat up the DJ and I chase the DJ, they'll be so afraid to put this man's music on. Is that not a form of blackball?
Right. That's a fact.
It's logical, bro. But it is what it is, bro. Listen, niggas is in their 50s already, dog. You know, Joe, you know, he did his thing. He took care of himself, and he is who he is. And my hope and dream is that Cuban gets to drop that one song because he has it, and he has it in him. That's a universal song. You could be 80 years old and niggas is going to jack it. And he has it. So my thing is for him to drop that song. You know, battling, getting that niggas. Come on, he got like 4 mixtapes we did, bro. Just fucking shitting on everybody, bro. And we was about that. You know what I mean? Niggas was like, yeah, fuck it. Like, it is what it is. That's how we felt then. You know?
Why do you think that he hasn't released that song?
I have no clue. It's a hit because it got to be done right. It's a hit. Tell him to play it for you. Tell him to play the Cuba Libre song for you. Cuba Libre, Free Cuba. Oh my God. When you put a Mark Anthony on that song, it's just fuck it. It's over with. It's over. You put the Mark Anthony on it, but his son sings it, and his son sings it beautifully. The Cuban son sings it beautifully, though. But you know, if you wanted to go to out the water like a whale jumping out the water, you put a Mark Anthony on that song.